Hi everyone. I have gotten a lot of questions from people on what to do after your orchid is done blooming. So you can see, this one that I have here is done blooming. All the flowers, see this one just completely just fell off just with a light touch, and then these other two have finished blooming and are wilting. And I actually had cut off another stem. This one actually had two stems that were blooming. So this one's still pretty. I love this one. But you have a couple different options that you can do after your orchids are done blooming. And I'm also going to refer you to my moth orchid ebook called Moth Orchid Mastery, which is available on Amazon, which has absolutely everything that I know, all my knowledge about growing Phalaenopsis or moth orchids, all in a book that you can read in less than an hour. I promise it'll change the way you grow these plants. They're super easy once you learn them. So back to this topic. So there's a couple different things that you can do. Actually, three different things. Some people, you could just leave the stem, the flower stem, and what'll happen is sometimes it'll keep growing at the tip. But then the plant kind of looks weird, and I think it uses too much of the plant's energy. So there are one of two things that I would recommend doing, depending on my mood. So what you can do is, I'll demonstrate both of them here. Bottom flower, so I actually pulled it off, was right here on this node. So along the stem you could see little bumps with a little triangular cover, a little sheath covering that node. So you want to go where the bottom flower was, and then go to the node right below, and then cut it off right above that. Some people go a little bit further down, and I think that's okay too. So sometimes you'll actually see a new flower stem coming or already starting to grow off of the node. So then you would know that you'll want to cut it off right above that node. So first take a look and see, are there any branches already forming? And then if they are, then you'll want to cut the stem right above that node where the new stem is forming, the new flower stem is forming. But in this case, I don't see any. So I'm going to do what I normally do. Here's the bottom, where the bottom flower was that fell off, and then here is the node underneath. So I'm going to take my scissors and cut right above. You don't want to cut it too close, just cut right above. And if you're lucky, and it happens pretty often, keep watering your plant, give it its regular routine care. More often times than not, you will see a new flower stem that will branch off of this node here, okay? Now, this particular plant has bloomed its heart out. Like I said, it had another flower stem that I had cut off at a previous time because it had finished. So because this plant has given me such a beautiful show, what I'm going to do now is actually cut it right off at the base, okay? So as close as you can get to the base, snip it right off, okay? So some of you may be disappointed because you want flowers for as long as possible, but this plant already has given me, a few months of flowers. So at this time, I'm going to resume its normal care. I'm going to put it back by the window, and it needs to rest. It needs to rest so that it can give me a good show next year as well. So soon, this plant should start growing leaves. From the center, it may grow one or two new leaves, and it'll start to grow so that it can store some energy so that it can bloom next year. So those are the two options that you can employ in getting your moth orchids to either continue blooming, or like you saw here, cut off the stem. It'll save its energy for next year. It'll start to produce new leaves. And become nice and strong so that it can bloom again for you next year. So at this time, like I mentioned, I'll refer you to a link in my description of this YouTube video. So I have written an ebook called Moth Orchid Mastery, which is available on Amazon. I am coming out with a paperback version very soon. And please click on the link. And the ebook, again, is available on Amazon. It includes absolutely everything you need to do to grow your moth orchids when it comes to lighting, watering, fertilizing, repotting, all of the above. So check it out, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks, everyone.